Grace.
Morning.
Morning.
How's everybody today?
Happy it's Friday.
It's Friday. So,
I'm happy it's Friday so I can catch up on the work from the week that I couldn't get to, which is really sad.
can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, because Andrew, you sound a little low. I don't know, but
Okay.
it
How do I
might
sound?
be me.
Do I sound okay now? I just turned my volume up.
Ainsley, can you talk a second?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. I don't know. My computer, since I didn't use it for 2 weeks, I was away in Italy, and I turned it on and it wanted to do all kinds of crazy updates. And so it's a little bit different now. I don't know. They put some stuff in it that I don't recognize when I open up Microsoft. So anyway, well, welcome everybody, and I think this is a momentous day for your committee and for the 2 other committees to see, the first draft of all the hard work you've been doing, and then some of the stuff that some delegates are going to be doing with some of these things too. So and I really have to commend Ainsley for putting this thing together, and it's already looking quite good. So by the time we get through doing some more massaging and then letting our major editor, Judy Lichtenberg, finish it, it's going to look terrific. So, so anyway, Ainsley, do you want to get started with it and draw everybody's attention to where we're going to start with these particular recommendations?
Yeah, here I'll share the agenda if Dr. Cantora, if you want to take over.
Sure.
As our chair.
Great. Thank you. So the first thing, Ainsley sent out the email with the minutes from September, and then the draft of recommendations also is in that email. So first thing, anybody wants to approve the minutes from September?
I'll motion to approve.
Great, thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move right into the report. I'm hoping everyone had a chance to look through. I was really pleased with this. We would love to get some feedback on any of the content. Ainsley, are we, I think I saw an email from you, or maybe I had a dream about it. Are we going to talk about like how to order these, or are they in the order that we already decided on?
So I sent out a survey to see if anybody wanted to put any input on that, but I haven't had any feedback. So if we want to go ahead and do that right now, like I'm totally happy with that as well.
Great. I knew there was something. Thank you. Yeah, I think we should do that in this meeting. I think it's fine to like maybe have a discussion about where things should go. But let's just open it up if anyone did have a chance to review. And this should be real familiar. We've been through a lot of this content already. And Ainsley, you did an amazing job just really fine-tuning it and highlighting the issue without like too much content, like really just focusing on what the issue is. I think you did an amazing job. So thank you so much for doing this, and to Judy for editing, and Steve, if you did some writing too, thank you too.
Well, I was having a good time in Italy the last 2 weeks, so I have to say I haven't done anything with it.
It's fair. So let's just do an open discussion right now. If anyone wants to comment, make any edits, if there was anything that was wrong. Great. I know I sent some edits to Ainsley this morning, and did you change those already? Yeah.
Yes, I hope that it's accurate. If anybody from the colleges or universities wants to make edits on this section especially, please let me know. This is about space, the spaces that each program has access to for programming.
Great. And I know Charles is on this call. We made an edit this morning to represent the fact that Bowie has access to 4 classrooms in the evening. I don't know if we should specify evening because we both start, I think, around 2, but I'm not sure, Bowie, if Charles, if you guys start earlier than 2. I don't know if we need to.
No, we start at 2 o'clock.
Start at 2. Okay. I think that it says that somewhere higher up, perhaps the time of when we start, so that's what evening means, at least for us, for UB and for Bowie. Goucher, Ramika, make sure that's accurate.
For MCIW, we were in trailers and the school, and previously we're in this school. We were in the gym for the past 2 months only during the morning until the trailers were built. So that was never like a permanent space for us.
Okay, so we should get rid of.
Yeah, I would just say shared classrooms with Department of Labor and dedicated trailers is accurate.
Okay.
Andrea.
Yeah.
Bowie State, we only have 3 classrooms.
You only have 3. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I made the change because I thought it was 4. 3. Okay. So we also have access to the library at JCI, University of Baltimore, and Bowie. I think UV might use it a little more. We've always had that space. Obviously, it's shared space. Like whenever nighttime library is not taking place, we use it. So I think we should just mention that we do use the library as well when available.
That's also true for Goucher in both facilities.
Is anyone from Georgetown on the call? I don't know if Emily's on the call. If not, perhaps just maybe we can send an email today or sometime next week to verify Georgetown.
Mhm.
Ainsley, when does this have to be final? Like when are you submitting this?
So I am sending it out to the commission on Monday because we're going to talk about it on Thursday. But I think small edits like that are like, especially if they're in the name of accuracy, I think that will be fine.
Yeah, hopefully the commission will approve of it. And I know we're just going to do another go over, and anybody's welcome to say, oh, hey, we fixed this or add this. If it's not of any consequence, we can do all those kinds of things. I like to get it done by the end of the month, right after Thanksgiving, and then we're going to submit it. It's because it's going to go through a couple of weeks in the governor's office probably, and then to the speaker and the speaker of the House and the president of the Senate. So, is everybody aware of the legislation? I'm sorry, Andrea, did you want to talk about that at all? That some of the stuff's going to be, it's not going to be, I'm not sure in the report, we might make a section saying that some of these rose to the level of proposals of legislation, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and I think in the 2 places where the one major category in this, there is discussion of that for access to state tuition or a tuition waiver program. Request, we use the language request legislation. I don't know if.
Yeah, and I know we use it in here. I'm just wondering if you want to say that separately, we haven't really, I haven't seen the bills yet. I was talking to Delegate Pasteur, who's not writing these 2 particular bills, but she's working on stuff too, and so I don't know, but maybe we'll have to talk about that separately, about how much we mentioned that besides the commission's recommendations, the delegates are proposing legislation based on these things. I don't know. perhaps Ainsley and I can talk with them, maybe talk with people in the governor's office, whether we should say anything at all about that.
Okay. Anne had a hand up. Go ahead, Anne.
So with MCIJ, knowing that that information is going to be incorrect as the ink is drying on the paper, should that be changed or asterisked to reflect that there is that closure is happening, so that space is going away?
Maybe we should put an asterisk. And you know, and put some type of, you know, 1 or 2 sentence explanation that Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services is in the process of closing the institution, and so services, these services will end, and we don't know where they're going to go if they go anywhere else.
We're very, very likely to be moving to RCI, but I don't know if we want to put that in the report.
And yeah, unless it's, well,
I
I
mean,
think what we could say then is, and the services will be moved to another institution yet to be
Yeah.
determined.
I would be definitely comfortable saying that.
Meredith, I want to give you a kudo because those trailers have affected things in Japan.
Really?
I hosted, I've been going back and forth. I went to Japan several years ago, and I've continued to have connections with people in Japan. And 2 of them came for a conference in DC, and I had discussions with them and emails part of our presentation, and we're talking about higher education. Japan, for all its great stuff it does with a much smaller population, is not very good on education in prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. There's a political feeling not to provide any college education for people behind bars. And this chief researcher that came, she Yoshia is her name, has wanted to know more about education, particularly college. And so as I took him around in a car yesterday to see all the institutions, because we didn't go inside, I pointed out where there was college, and I pointed out the trailers, the little bit we could see from outside. She's going back and putting up an effort and using Maryland's example of college to try to encourage activity.
Wow.
Anyway, so we don't be surprised if you get an email at some point that connects you with these folks.
Awesome. That's cool.
So, yeah. And when I do that, I'll connect you and Andrea and anybody else who wants to talk to them.
That's
But
great.
I was really surprised but she said full-time. And I said, yes, full-time. And so
That's
she was
awesome.
really,
That's really great.
Yeah.
If I could also share more about trailers, this week I went to New Jersey and toured 2 prisons, and I looked at Rutgers's. Rutgers has a NJ STEP program, which some people are familiar with, but they also have trailers at one of their prisons. They're actually in 5 prisons in New Jersey. I only saw 2, but they're also using trailers, and it almost looks like 4 or 5 trailers connected together. So it's not like individual trailers, but all of them are connected in some kind of way. And I was really, really impressed with the space. Like the trailers were nicer than the classrooms. And it allows them to have, morning, afternoon, evening, like there's no break in education. For college, it's just continuous through the entire day because of this extra space with the trailers. So that was really nice to see. Just another example. I imagine there's other states using them. I don't think we have that information unless we just know people running these programs. But I think trailers I think we're going to see more of them in the state. I was also talking with USM last week, and we were talking about trailers and how, different ways of perhaps to fund them. But I think it's going to be like something that we'll see more of, I think, in the state.
I think it's terrific that how this is growing. I have to commend Goucher for coming up with all the money that, other universities can't do it for different reasons, but the fact that Goucher is willing to pay and to go after grants and all that is just, they've been terrific for years. And so Meredith, and I'm just your program has just been very unique and very helpful in encouraging all the rest of the colleges to get involved.
Yeah.
And so now that all the other colleges have gotten involved, there's a terrific amount of energy among all you folks, and a cooperation that's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about space. Any comments on creating a statewide support system? Ainsley, you added the comment about USM getting that grant from Ascendium. Awesome. Yeah, I love how you added the examples from SUNY and Tennessee. I think those are like the two, best examples in the country to highlight. And, also exciting, I don't know, you don't need to add this to the report, but SUNY, Tennessee, and Maryland have all been invited to be part of this improvement community with a group called NASH. So it's the National Association for Higher Education Systems. And they invited Maryland, SUNY, and Tennessee to be part of this few-year project where Charles and I were last week in Albany with USM. So we're kind of studying ways to improve what we do and increase enrollment for higher ed and PRISM. So that's kind of exciting that, we spent time this past year inviting people to our meetings, and then Maryland was identified as a state that's, doing really good work and has promise to grow. So I'm glad that those two states are highlighted here.
Good. Anything you could share on that with any, like any emails or any information that you want to send out to the commission would be great. I think people in the other committees would love to hear about how Maryland is going to be involved with its group called NASH, you said?
It's called NASH, N-A-S-H. It's the National Association for Higher Education Systems. Yeah, I can share more. This is kind of this brand new project. Ascendium is funding it.
Oh, okay.
As they fund all things. So, they're giving money to USM and Charles. So Bowie and University of Baltimore are working with USM right now. So
Okay.
yeah, it's
Great.
But I can share more. It's just exciting that we were included in that effort. And I think USM was asked to be part of it because they just got a grant from Ascendium. So, Ascendium is looking to Maryland now to do a lot more in terms of system-wide and more collaborative approaches. So that's really exciting.
The original, just for history on our commission here, it was Delegate Ampry who sponsored the bill for the commission. He originally had a bill on higher education called REAP, and he put the commission into it, and then after took 2 sessions, well, we got both bills passed. His interest is more higher education than CT or adult place to get it, and his chief of staff just contacted me the other day, and Ainsley has sent them this draft for them to look at. So if you could send anything you can about Nash, because of his particular interest in higher education, we can send it forward to Ian and to his chief of staff and to the delegate. I think as a courtesy for all the fact that we exist because he sponsored the bill and has interest in higher ed, I want to make sure he keeps informed.
Yeah, I'll email you and I'm gonna copy Zakia Lee. I don't think she's on the call. Because she's gonna be like leading the effort in terms of getting University of Baltimore and Bowie to do all the work. But yeah, so it's great.
Good work. So,
I did want to note really quickly that I am going to add a quick little section about the Goucher trailer project. Meredith just sent me language to go through and craft a little paragraph about that, and also the Bowie State inaugural summit for HBCUs. I am hoping to just like a quick little paragraph so we can highlight all of the good work that's going on with the higher education programs here. And I would love pictures. So Dr. Adams or Meredith, if you have pictures of the trailers or the summit, let me know. I feel like that would really make this report shine. So that's forthcoming in the next couple of days as well.
I really think it's great to bring out the stuff that's going on, much of which has been going on anyway, but I think because of your positions where you are, and the fact you're on you meaning all of you in the college programs are on the commission, it provides us a place to spotlight everything. So, otherwise, not, we always need to tell people what we're doing that's happening that's good. And I want the commission to take the position of recommending or highlighting, saying we're doing this and doing that, and then we'd like to recommend this, but we're building on stuff that's going on. And so we're having 3 or 4 more years of being able to make these reports, and this is an opportunity to really do a lot of PR and get it out there for everybody to see. So hopefully one of these days, we'll get some public opinion about this. People will start looking at what's going on in correctional ed and doing some things and highlighting the good stuff and what the impact can be.
Should we shift to talking about the order of the recommendations? I don't know if anyone has a strong opinion about the ordering of these. I'm going to open the report on my computer. I do have one suggestion about where the PEP process map should go. I feel like that should just go after the last recommendation. I don't know. Am I wrong? Is that there for a reason? Does it flow with the one before?
I think it goes with the fact that colleges and universities, like, it's difficult to navigate this process. Like, this is the complicated process.
Okay.
So I paired it with this one, but I'm happy to put it at the end of the recommendations as well, because it is kind of a big graph. So
Yeah. Well,
whichever
maybe just move the tuition one up higher so then it does end with the system recommendation, perhaps. Yeah, I feel like the system one needs to go either at the beginning or end in terms of the order of recommendations, but perhaps it's best at the end. And then that Maryland PEP approval process is the last thing before, yeah, that would be the last page then. So maybe just move the request for legislation one to appear before the system one. And if anyone has other thoughts, please jump in. So we're starting with space, followed by the tuition, followed by the system approach.
Okay.
Anyone else have thoughts? I'm really, really pleased with how this has turned out. I think it looks great.
Anyway, and do we have numbers available right now of students? We don't talk about in our background the numbers of students, do we?
I don't currently have anything in there about like the enrollment numbers.
You think that would be helpful right now to see kind of like a benchmark, where we are for people who read this, and then if we can have a couple more reports, hopefully it's going to increase numbers. And right now we don't have any full-time people. We have all part-time, right? No, who's full-time?
Goucher has some full-time students now, and I know Bowie's students are full-time, I think.
Okay.
Georgetown too.
Georgetown as well, yeah.
So I would highlight that and make that say that, because that's going to increase in more full-time people. So if we can get numbers, say currently as of a certain date, like what's happened this last semester or whatever, or what the current enrollment is, this right now, I don't know what would be best.
So current enrollment as of just like a snapshot of 2025 fall semester.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they could call it that. We could have a current snapshot, and then we could have some figures in there.
Of currently enrolled. Okay.
Because I want to say the same thing for the other programs. I want to make sure we have some numbers
Mm-hmm.
for career tech and for academic, so that people know what we're talking about. We can say what percentage of people are in school and what kind of school programs they're in.
I think all of us can do that. So is that's the only number, just currently enrolled at the institutions?
Yeah, part and full time. And let me just ask you, so if people are going, I mean, it's probably a variation here, but if somebody's enrolled in college part-time, what is that, a couple courses generally?
Well, there's also 3/4 time, which is most of our students. So you could call that part-time, but that's nine
If we have
credits.
a thing called 3/4 time, why don't we say it? It'll give an idea to people about how long it takes to go through college while you're incarcerated. And so it'd be 3 divisions. Anybody less than quarter time, 3/4 time, 3/4 time, full time.
So full-time we define as 12 credits or more. 3/4 time is 9 credits, and then half-time, part-time is 6 credits or less.
Okay,
That's how it's normally
that's great.
defined.
Great.
I think we can do that. Okay. And
Okay.
just for the fall semester.
Do it for the fall. Yeah, do a fall semester. Yeah.
Okay. Ramika, go ahead.
So the question I have is where that section where we mentioned, and I can talk about this when we get past this point, but I just wanted to highlight the section where we talk about SUNY and TPCC. Do you all think that it would strengthen the report if we add outcomes from the states with similar legislation? I want to make sure that the reader has a clear view of like the angle in which we're coming from. And I think using outcomes or stats that are directly tied to this work would be beneficial, but just a thought.
Do we have, so we do have, so I agree. I think there might be something in the tuition waiver or tuition access section. I think SUNY might, something about SUNY's, or something about New York is there. I don't know if there's something about Tennessee. But yeah, no, I agree. We can add it to this box. Yeah, great recommendation. Thank you.
When you're talking about outcome data, are you talking about like number of students enrolled, or is there other things that you'd like to see added?
I am not married or committed to one or the other or many. I think that having folks on the call weigh in on what that looks like, I just think that in general, it may strengthen or support our best practice section in the report if we are directly tying, linking outcomes to work that is already being done and being done successfully to our report to show that this is being done and yet it is possible for the state of Maryland. It could be enrollment, it could be reentry, recidivism rates, it could be however we choose to list it, but I just think something should be here
I'd
to
be very
anchor.
be very careful about recidivism rate. Because if, for example, you put in one of these states has a reported recidivism rate that's very low, we don't know how they arrived at that or what the definition is necessarily. And somebody's going to take it here and say, well, our recidivism rate, and they'll poke around with it. I want to make sure if we have any data, whatever data is out there, something they can stand by, because
Yeah.
I mean, somebody may say our recidivism rate among our students is 5%, and that's fine. But you know, that doesn't take into standard research on recidivism. Probably it just takes our students who are selected, of course, and then so you gotta be careful. I just got to be careful with that. That's all. Because
Agree.
come back against us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a job, you know.
Ramika, are you talking about enrollment and reentry outcomes for those specific states, prison systems, prison education?
I mean, it could be one, the other, a combination of the two. Again, that's up for discussion for the committee, but I just thought this would be helpful. Let me see. Yeah,
I mean, the expectation is that Ainsley is going to then try to contact them and get that data.
That's
the problem is
getting
that data.
We're working on right now.
Yeah.
I think if we think about outcomes, it could also be, and I think Ramika is hinting at this, it could also be like capacity, right? Like since Tennessee and SUNY started these statewide efforts, have more programs been developed, right? Like SUNY, for example, their capacity to do this has grown in terms of staffing, like, right? They started with maybe 1 or 2 people and they now have like 12 people. And that means there's 5 more prisons that are operating programs because of the capacity increase. So, I mean, that should be pretty easy to include about that kind of outcome of, and then the legislation piece in terms of those 2 offices having a role in, you know, influencing legislation to be passed for the tuition piece or other items. So I think we could maybe highlight those kind of outcomes because they are connected to everything in this report. Right? Has like, does SUNY or Tennessee, I don't know, buy more trailers, or did they expand space by these efforts as well? I don't know if that information is listed on their websites, or it might be easier to just add something about any of those.
When I during the time we were testifying to get this bill passed, it would pop up frequently. legislators would want to know how many people are in school, how many people are in these programs, how many people are finishing these programs, and then how do we compare, and to other states. And in a way, Maryland has not always been at the forefront of getting legislators to support correctional education, let's put it that way, and letting them know that some states that they may view as kind of conservative are doing a very good job. So I think Maryland would view a state like Tennessee as more conservative, or Ohio, or Texas, or not necessarily New York. But if we have states that represent a political spectrum a little bit, and we see that that Maryland should take a look at it and see that maybe it's not doing as well as some other states that are more on the right side of politics instead of the left. Does that make sense? I mean, just putting I don't want to put false data in there, but I want to just say, let's put some data in there that shows that this doesn't have to be a political issue. We should get around this. It should be an issue for people, for benefit for everybody, and not that. So we have examples of states, because it got a couple grumblings when there was some data that showed that maybe we were doing as poorly as some of the southern states, but some of the other states like Texas and maybe Tennessee and Georgia were doing pretty well in some ways. Politicians sitting there thinking about these things are looking about what's going on in other states, because this will be a report to the legislature as well.
Ramika and Anne have hands. Sorry, Danielle. Danielle, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think that legislation is the key factor in whether or not the capacity in expanding programs. We have greatly expanded programs and done a lot of stuff within the last 3 years without any legislative support from, Annapolis. So it wasn't until after we did a lot of that the legislation came out to provide support for colleges for FAFSA, which we were already doing. So, well, I don't think legislation is the key. I think it's we already have the USM consortium together. Now it's just getting it moving forward, right? And how do we do that?
But there's going to be some legislation as a result of this. So I'd like to help the environment of the discussion as much as possible by this report. Then there's going to be legislation for other areas other than college, and so
Yeah, I wasn't talking about that. Yeah.
And I know college has had a life of its own because of Pell Grants and the federal law and the efforts of individuals in this state, individual colleges doing a great job. And it hasn't necessarily meant legislation, but we're finding things that we need, like this tuition stuff, who can apply. And and the delegates are going to take that forward.
Yeah, that has to go through MHEC, has to change their wording in there.
Yeah, but the delegates are going forward on their own. And so there's going to be a discussion in the legislature on some of this stuff. So
I was just specifically talking about the consortium, not about the fund, not about any of that stuff. I was just talking about this specifically and whether or not legislation was needed for it.
Right. I'm talking about the atmosphere for this report and for higher education in general, and what kind of information we put forward as the legislators look at the report and ask questions. And so, what's the good stuff to put out there and to be helpful in that effort.
Ramika and Anne have hands up. Ramika was first.
No, my apologies. I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay. Anne?
Yeah, I just wanted, when you're talking about these different kinds of data, I'm really seeing like two categories. You have capacity building data, and then you have program efficacy data. And I think you need to be really intentional about which one you present. your recommendations here are about capacity building. They're about building space. They're about getting money. So you don't actually want to put program efficacy data as your support, because program efficacy would require evaluation of each of your individual programs, and that's a different recommendation. So I look at all that recidivism, all that long-term outcome stuff, and I wouldn't bother with it in this report because it's not supporting your recommendations. Now, that how many seats were they able to add? How much more money were they able to bring in? All of that data has to do with capacity building. How many more students were they able to serve? Were they able to move their programs from part-time to full-time? You know, how many different degrees were they able to offer, right? Were they able to offer more marketable degrees? All of that capacity building data is going to add force to your recommendations. So I just, like, as I'm hearing kind of the conversation, I just think we need to be a little bit intentional about what we're supporting.
I'm
I think
absolutely,
you crystallized
you're exactly right. You're absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons you brought out, more clearly one of the reasons why I didn't want to see any recidivism stuff right now. I mean, that's somebody else to do that, and that's a report that has to be very carefully done. Yeah, but I mean, you brought up some other things. Okay, how many people got degrees, and how many people, I mean, there are other things besides enrollment numbers. So, but I don't want to put Ainsley to work on doing another dissertation this week, trying to dig this stuff up. So, if there's some good stuff you have that you think, in terms of the numbers, as Anne has very nicely talked about them, send them up to Andrea and to Ainsley, and we'll put whatever it seems to be a good thing in there.
And I know that SUNY shared actually a lot of their program capacity data with us in their presentation. It's also available on their website. I'll have to look at the Tennessee, the TPCC, but I think that this should be an easy add. Most of this information is readily available. So,
okay,
sounds good.
Great.
Right, and I see that Zakia just joined, or maybe joined a little while ago. Zakia, this is going to save me an email, so I'm glad you're here. At the end of the report, there's just going to be some highlights at the bottom of the bottom of the report to highlight a few things that have been happening with our programs and around the state. So I had mentioned to the group about NASH and our involvement with NASH, or USM's involvement in NASH. So if you're comfortable with this, we'd love to add a little write-up about what that is and how USM is involved in that new effort.
Sure, happy to take a look at that and contribute or offer ideas.
Should we also contribute what USM has already done to date with coalition building and with their, funding access and the consulting company that came in and provided a lot of data?
Yeah, I think there's a few sentences above.
Is that in here already?
Yeah, there's and
I
then
thought
also,
it did get mentioned somewhere.
Yeah, it's in there. And then Ainsley to this morning added that USM was just awarded a $4 million grant from a stadium. Yeah, so that's all there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, want to make sure we have good background for every one of these recommendations, and recognize the good efforts and things that people are doing. That the commission is recognized. I'm not creating them, but put it in here as background so we know we have a much better overview of everything that's going on.
I don't see where it says anything that we've already started a. Oh, okay, never mind. There it is. USM study. Okay.
How are we doing for time here? 10:40.
We have about 15 minutes left. Danielle, right before you came in, we talked about the ordering of the recommendations. So we changed things a little bit. So the ordering is we start with this conversation about space, and then we move into the tuition recommendations, and then the last one being continuing with this effort to have a statewide approach. So those are the three areas. So we just moved things around a little bit. But if you have any thoughts about ordering, no one has had real strong opinions, but we did just change one piece.
So the first one is just an assessment of challenges and solutions of the space for college programs.
Yeah, that's the first one.
What is the intended outcome of that recommendation? Like, what do we want to get out?
Ainsley, can you scroll down? I feel like there might be solution.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot more behind the recommendation that explains it all.
And do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think I see Danielle's point though. Would it make sense to have 3 words up at the top, continue ongoing assessments of space in order to create, in order to open more seats, to create more, you know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 words at the end of that kind of leads you to the solution, so that when you're reading through the piece of the report, you already have in your head like where your conclusion is. So that should be like your thesis statement. I get your point, Danielle.
Yeah.
Should it go at the beginning? Like, to make higher ed in prison more available? I don't know.
Continue ongoing assessments of challenges and solutions to higher education and prison learning spaces within facilities to build
Capacity for
capacity, right.
additional programming throughout statewide or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. That way you have here's what we're going to do, and this is why, and this is what we want to get to.
I like that recommendation, and then would suggest that we take a look and see if it's paralleled with the other recommendations, that they also have that tag on, so to speak, that it sounds, gives you a better snapshot.
I think that one's good because the whole point is that we want to build that statewide hub in order to have sustainability, right? And capacity building. That one's good, yeah.
The scholarship one looks okay too.
Should we just say access to state financial aid instead of just scholarships? Because there's other financial aid other than just scholarships.
Yeah.
And is it really to increase program? Access. Yep, access
Yeah.
to programming. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Christian?
I had a question about the framing of request legislation. I assume this is saying we're requesting the legislature. All right. Well, I guess I just have wordsmith thing. Maybe let's just say pass legislation. Like
No.
request sounds like I'm like, whom are we requesting to do this thing? So maybe pass legislation.
I think the delegates asked us to word it this way. If I can call back from another meeting, they did not want us to use the word pass because this body does not pass. We can request.
Right.
So I think it was their language.
Right, right.
Okay. I still thought, I don't know, I'm struggling with request because I'm like, whom are we requesting this of? So it's like odd to me. So I don't know, maybe not pass, but
The recommendations go to the legislator and to the governor. So we're requesting that the legislator creates the legislation.
We're making a recommendation. This whole
Correct.
report is to the governor,
Yep.
to the president, to the speaker, House and Senate. So we're talking to them. Look at it as
Yep.
this is a big fat letter.
okay. Well, I would suggest that maybe just the recommendation should be the General Assembly should allow incarcerated, the General Assembly, because to me that is the kind of primary recipient or target for this recommendation. But that was it.
I see your point because recommend and request are like the same, like they're synonyms. So you're like, I'm recommending to recommend, or I'm requesting to request. So I see where
Yeah.
you're doing, Christian.
Well, so I mean, do you just want to take out the word request and just say legislation? Because I remember they did specifically say, don't put allow, don't say pass, don't put.
Let's leave it the way it is, so we don't. I mean, I know everybody's gonna have a little bit of problem of what could word it this way or that way, but I wouldn't. I like the idea to put an objective in the recommendation for increase capacity, whatever, and all that. That's good. I don't want to floor out the verbs too much because we went over this with 3 delegates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going forward with legislation on their own, separate from our commission.
Yeah.
And they're not going to put legislation in saying the commission request. It's going to be their request. We're requesting. Then they go forward with it. They'll be asking us to help them in all kinds of stuff as this goes forward. Probably a number of us will be asked to come in and testify, what have you. But I would just leave it the way they wanted to do it. And we got rid of
So
words.
it really is a double.
Pardon?
So it really is a double. We are requesting that they request. It is, I mean,
Right.
it sounds funny, but it really is a double.
That's right. That's right. But nobody knows that except us.
Recommend that they request.
So,
Looks good.
yeah, I mean, there's always going to be room for improvements. After we submit it, we're going to say, why didn't we say this or that? But we're gonna get this in as good a shape, and everybody feels comfortable with it at least. That yeah, I would do it this way for me, but this is okay. Because it's and this commission is putting forth more work than any commission normally does, from what we're hearing from the governor's office. I mean, we've done an amazing amount of work, and we set up for ourselves for future work with this, because some of these things are going to be things we pick up as primary stuff for the next year or two. So we're not done. This is a work in progress. This thing is not set in concrete. It's malleable. We're gonna start working on it right away. It's our blueprint for next year.
Ainsley, the enrollment numbers and stuff, are you talking about the current colleges that are behind the fence, number of people versus the number of people and the number of available seats?
So I believe it was Dr. Stir who just wanted kind of a snapshot of the current fall 2025 enrollment by part-time, full-time, and 3/4 time. So just a snapshot of the current enrollment.
So you have to go to, if you want part-time, 3/4 time, and full-time, you have to get that from each individual college. I can get the number.
We had this discussion before you came in. We developed it because that's what each college has. That's how they did define it: part-time, half-time, 3/4
Right.
time.
I'm just saying each college is gonna have to give that individually. I can give the total number of enrollment, and I can give the total number of people behind the wall at each facility. Now, total number of seats, are you talking about available seats for college students, or because that is a arbitrary number? It just depends on the facility. It depends on whether or not we have staffing, there's so many different factors that go into the number of seats available at each facility. Because that could be, it could be 100, it could be 15. And it also depends on how many people they enroll, that
Yeah.
semester. So that one's a little tough.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. Keep going in. Yeah.
I was
No,
hoping
just
that
saying.
each university might so each university should know how many students they're willing to accept. Like that's, so if I go to Andrea and I say, how many students can you be take? She should have an answer. Now you might not have that answer, and I get that.
No,
but I think
I meant, if you're talking that's different.
Yeah.
I meant total number of seats that we have available to have students be in that school.
Mm-mm.
So
No, available
you're talking about
seats.
the number of,
No,
and
no, we're
that's
not-
different
we're not
too.
talking about
because,
that.
Yeah, each college is also different on how many students that they can enroll. Like some can enroll 30, but only 15 were admitted because the only 15 qualified. You know what I mean? But the total number available were 25. So
Yeah, well,
they
if
can
we
tell
have
you
that
that.
problem, that's a different problem. Shouldn't we be
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to fill seats? Because we have so few seats compared to the number of students. If that's a problem, then
That's
that's
a
one that we
financial-
really need to look at.
That's a federal problem. A lot of that is federal financial aid issues. If somebody, enrolled, they went and they did the FAFSA, but there were issues with it that they had to get other things. So they had to wait a semester to come in because they had to get other things taken care of with their taxes, with other things like that, getting forms. And so it's but they can say how many available seats that they had for that semester versus how many people they actually enrolled. And then some semesters we don't enroll anybody some years. Like this year, Andrea, did you take new students this year?
So
This
we took
fall?
not the fall, we did in
I didn't think
January.
so. I
Yeah,
don't
so
think anybody took anybody new this fall.
well, that's not true though. We took a new freshman group in January. So our spring semester, we had like 15 or 18 new students in that semester. And then this fall, we might have had 2 or 3 transfer students, right? Like every semester we could enroll transfer students, but we're going back to being on track with this fall. And then the next, like we're going to be on the fall schedule of new enrollment every fall.
Correct.
For freshmen.
Yeah.
So there's that variation too.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, there's all those different variables.
Yeah, and
Let's simplify this because we're getting near the end here. So we've already settled on part-time, half-time, three-quarters, full-time, whatever. So if each college thinks they can say, well, potentially our numbers can be, if you can have, is that a figure that you can give? That
they can give that. If
let me ask them.
Well, I'm going to say it because it's based on our capacity and space too.
Well, I'm simply asking Andrea this first. Okay, so you have space for given your class the possible numbers and all that. So and do you have fewer students than you could serve? Does that happen with with you and with
it absolutely happens. Right now we're down to 40 because we've had so many students released over the past year, or transferred, getting ready to be released, so they go to pre-release. So our numbers are really low right now.
Why don't they skip putting this in? Because this sounds to me that this is going to be
complicated.
It is very complicated.
Open up a hornet's nest.
It's very complicated.
Maybe next year for the next report, we can define this better because there's so many variables.
Let's give the numbers we have right now.
And then next year we'll have the smart sheets. We'll have the actual federal, application, the platform together where the colleges will have already put in all this data. And I can literally pull a report for you then with all this data.
Let's do the simple thing that we said we're going to do, and that's it. Because we had no numbers when we started this discussion an hour ago. So our numbers are going to be at 6 credits, 9 credits, 12 credits. That's it, and for each college. And we're not going to discuss potential or future. Just this fall. Okay.
No. And that's why this recommendation is here, because this is an ongoing assessment of space and capacity.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we are at time. And I think we should wrap it up unless there's any urgent question or anyone see a major problem with this report. Again, I'm really pleased with it. Ainsley did really hard work, putting this together, and I think it reads really well.
Well, Angie's
Steve
done a
too.
terrific job, and you guys
Steve
have done tremendous stuff giving her things. So I want you to pat yourself on the back as well. So everybody that's involved has been terrific as far as I'm concerned.
Ainsley, do you have the contact number for Georgetown to be able to get that data from her, Emily Hayes?
I have her email, and yes, I have her email.
Okay.
Great.
So I saw she wasn't on, so I just want to make sure you could get a hold of her.
So I think we're at time. Everyone, thank you so much for your contributions to this report. Ainsley will get you some of those numbers, and anything else you need, just reach out. Again, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. And Ainsley and I are going to stay on, but just to catch up here. So I want to thank you again, and everybody have a great day. And next week we'll have one more meeting, right, with the commission. This is terrific. Thank you.